What's happening, everybody? It's your man Dame, the NYDC. Two mics up. Wednesday night. You know how we do on Wednesdays. We like to get down. We like to do a little live. Coming to you live from the DMV. So tonight, I want to touch on a couple of things. Before I get started, we wanted to change it up a little bit. There's a lot of things going on in the world. There's a lot of things going on in the news. And tonight's guest, I believe she's going to help us. When I say us collectively, I mean us as a community, deal with and work through, some of the anxiety. Maybe some of us may be dealing with some of the depression, PTSD, substance abuse, which, oddly enough, it seems like we don't talk about it as much anymore. It's still prevalent and really real in our community, but with everything else going on, going through President 45 and all of this nonsense, the pandemic, seems like that moved to the background, if you will. So, but before I get into that, I just want to throw that little tease out there. I want to take a second to go ahead and jump into our community news, our community connector, and just really, talk about things that we're committed to, creating something great. This segment is presented by our sponsors over at TD3 Insurance. Shout out to our title sponsors, Riddick Entertainment. As I said, TD3 Insurance Agency at the National Harbor, 94 Media House, Artistry Lather, and our advertising sponsor, Miss LaVon Copeland. You caught them 2 weeks ago. Want to let you know, if you don't already, tourist season is upon us. Come celebrate with me and my sister, Michelle Riddick Entertainment. We're going to be getting down at the Beehive Saturday, May 5th, 8 p.m. to midnight. Tickets are $20. If you can't attend, that's cool. But just make a donation for us, if you will, to the Virginia Black Business Directory. We also have coming up in August, ladies and gentlemen, the Virginia Black Business Expo. If you're a vendor, come on out and register. If you're a business owner, come on, man, be a sponsor. If you got a big enough company, come on through and purchase a table. We're going to be rocking with Kiki Wyatt, the Silver Fox Squad, Quinn Conyers. We're just going to have it all. We started season 5 last week, with Tanya Pinkins. We had Marcus Crew this week, and we're going to be joined by actor Brett Chapin this coming Monday. And if you're a small business and you're looking to elevate your brand, holla at me. 2 mics up, man. We're all about helping you with your advertising opportunities, business promotions. You name it, we're here to support you and your business as best we can. So like I said at the top, anxiety, PTSD, we've witnessed some strange events and some sad events over the last week, really. And without further ado, to help me talk about these events and to talk about these things, I'm going to bring to the other mic tonight, amazing guest, amazing woman, Miss Shantell Turner. Shantell, what's happening? How you doing this evening?
Hello. How y'all doing today?
How you doing this evening?
I'm blessed.
I dig it.
I'm blessed.
Anytime on this side, like they say, to be seen,
Absolutely.
is always a blessing. And I was talking briefly about everything that's been going on, in the news and in our world of late. Things that I believe we probably never thought we would see.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be careful. I don't want to call him a trash president, but 45 was a hot mess, right?
Hot mess.
It was a hot mess. And then, that bore us into a pandemic, and we got Sleepy Joe at the wheel. Don't know what's going on with Sleepy Joe. And then, we had, this whole storming of the Capitol.
Yeah.
This all unrest. I mean, sometimes it's like blatant murder on the Black and brown community.
Mm-hmm.
Just all of these things going on. And then we had these horrific stories recently young man, 16-year-old, shot in the head,
Yeah.
young girl,
Terrible
pulled up.
situation.
All of these are like terrible, right? So
Terrible situation.
I'm saying all that because one, I'm talking as a parent now. I'm not talking
Absolutely.
uh, any other way. Black bread. This is as a human being, as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts me, like my anxiety levels, like watching this, whether it be on the news and through social media. I mean, it really hurts me. It disturbs me. It bothers me.
Absolutely.
As a therapist and as a licensed professional, have you been seeing more of an uptick in our community? With people reaching out, or are we still like that culture where we still kind of hold on, or we want to hide behind, you know what I'm saying, closed doors, and kind of
Yeah.
deal with it internally?
So it's been an uptick, but it's still we still have people that have that stigma out there.
Hmm.
Like there's people that are reaching out and understand and see things that's going on in the news and want to get the help that they deserve and that they need. And there are some people that, you see them, they end up, still going with the stereotypical thing. Oh, people they don't know me, they shouldn't be in my business. I don't want them in my business. I can take care of it. You don't know my life, type of thing. When in actuality, we do know your life,
Mm,
obviously, because of the simple fact that, everybody needs help. Everybody needs a listening ear from time to time.
correct. Yeah, and I like how you say that, because we do know, right?
We
And
do know.
we really do know, and I want to be careful, but I only know one way to say this. You know, we've dealt with so much stress
Hmm.
just as a people.
Absolutely.
Like, we've in a way we've normalized it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So from your perspective and your experience, like, how do you, or how best you, how can you help us, right? Guide us and work with us to kind of have some tools to kind of work through those stigmas and kind of break the chain, if you will.
Well, how do I work with you? How do I? Well, first you got to come. You have to
Okay.
say yes. I am coming. I want help. You may not know me, my name or whatever, but I need help.
Right.
That's the first thing. Admitting that you need help, and whether that's help with specific things or help in general, with general things. Second, you have to be able to trust the person who you're talking to. I tell all my clients, that therapy or finding a therapist is like finding the right pair of shoes. You have to find the right fit, the right color, the right style, the right size. All that stuff matters.
Mm,
So, I shop for therapists like I shop for shoes.
mm,
I absolutely go through. I see if I like you. I read your bio. I look at your picture. I look at your style. I read everything, and then I determine if I feel like you can help me. And then I have a meeting with you. I absolutely talk to you before I even schedule one appointment, and see if I vibe with you or if I can understand and click with you over the phone even, and then I'll go from there.
mm.
But everybody thinks that no one knows your plight or no one knows what you're going through and all that stuff. I've seen it all. I've seen it from children, adolescents, adults, older people, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, trauma. You
Wow.
name it, I've probably come across it. So I may not have personally experienced whatever you're going through, but I've come across and I've helped the people that I've come across.
You know that all of that is really amazing and intriguing to me, because I want to step back from some of the serious in-depth questions to kind of let's go back a little bit to the start then, Shantell.
Okay. Absolutely.
What is it then? Because I mean, it takes a special person, first of all. You have to
Yes,
be,
it does.
because like I said, you as a human being, you're already dealing with your natural bubble of things, if you
Yeah,
will, right? So
absolutely.
now you're dealing with society and egos or personalities and different things. So what inspired you, to want to become a certified counselor? and get your feet wet.
It's funny you ask. I tell people, or the people that ask me, I tell them that I was at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
I was on campus going to school for nursing, oddly enough. So I always knew that I wanted to, help people and care for people. As a requirement, a prerequisite to nursing, you have to take a psychology course.
Hmm.
I took a psychology course on Southern University's campus, and that teacher blew my mind. I mean, it was
Wow.
just amazing. And ever since then, I switched my career from nursing to psychology and counseling, and I've been intrigued every day since.
Wow.
Every
You
day
know that
since.
and that's the power of, and we've talked about it before, the power of
Hmm.
having someone really leaving a mark on you, if you will,
Oh my
influencing
God,
you. And it sounds like that was really the spark for you
that
to
was the
to really.
catalyst.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. I love that. So when we talk about your type of work, 'cause like you said, you've covered so many different areas, if you will, but what are predominantly the types of patients that you generally see or work with?
Right now, I'm working with mostly adults. I have a few teenagers that I work with, but I don't necessarily have a specific population that I prefer. Well,
Hmm.
technically, I prefer adults, but I prefer adults and teenagers, like 12 and up. Nobody younger than 12, for me personally. I think that young adults, teenagers, and some older adults, they tend to take counseling a little more seriously. They've been through a couple of things. They actually want help,
Hmm.
and I'm willing to give it to them.
You know, I think that's also fun, because that age group that you raise, young adults, right?
Yeah,
Still trying to find themselves, and
absolutely.
and we find though a lot of what, and again, I don't want to stereotype a group, but that group tends to be in the media that we see a lot, right?
Yeah.
Social media and everything like that. And I'm trying to understand as I'm progressing, through life, and
Yeah.
move through that stage. There's a disconnect. Like I don't understand. Like, but as a therapist, like, what are you hearing? That really has some of these young men and women so charged to where there's a disconnect with them, because like sometimes they all they do, they stuck in their phone. It's a woe is me situation. It feels like with them, you get but you don't understand. Like what is the disconnect, or how can we connect? As parents, if a parent is watching and has a child that's maybe going through something, how can we connect with them?
First and foremost, I think that you have to listen.
Mm,
If your child doesn't feel like they're being listened to, they're not going to communicate anything to you. uh the disconnect comes from us being parents at our age and them being children at our young adults at their age. They think that we don't know what they're going through. We
mm,
haven't been through what they're going through. Everything is new under the sun, and in all actuality, of course, we know what they're going through. We've been through that.
right.
Just them, us living, growing up how we grew up, wanting to provide for them because we may not have had the tools and success that, we've had now. We kind of give our children what we think that they need and what we didn't have. Excuse me, which is
Hmm.
kind of somewhat of a disadvantage for them because they think that everything is supposed to be given to them sometimes. But they learn, they live and they learn.
Mm. You know, I because I'm really trying to find out, is there an approach that you have that maybe has a higher rate of success maybe over another in your practice? Because you know you're dealing with so many different plateaus, right?
Yeah.
And your business and your line of work, like, is there one approach that you find may work better, or is that just depend on the individual or the person, like you said, when you first screen them or meet them?
But it depends. So I come from a place of love in all my sessions. So I come from a place where I introduce myself to the client because you don't know me. So I can't expect you to come to me and tell me all your deepest, darkest thoughts and secrets and feelings if you have no idea who I am? So I come into the relationship starting off by I start my first session with any client telling you about me. Hey, my name is Shantell. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Norfolk State University and graduated.
Okay.
I give them some information about me so they can feel somewhat comfortable. I tell them about my hobbies. I tell them about, not necessarily, I don't go into depth or anything like that, like any deep personal issues, but I make them comfortable by telling them about me, which in turn they tell me about them after I'm finished. And then I ask them, what are you here for? Why are you here? What particular thing that you brought you to counseling? And at that point, they feel comfortable with me, so they talk. They talk. Some clients I look like them. They can say, hey, you may not know exactly what I'm going through, but hey, I'm here. I want help. I need help. Can you help me? And at the end of the session, I tell them, well, look, I definitely think I can help you with this. All I ask is that you be willing and able to help and put forth the effort. And it's going to take work. If you're willing to work, I'm willing to work as well.
I think that right there is the key right there, putting in the
Absolutely.
work, because
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing, I think. I've gone through some therapy sessions, and the hardest thing really is to look at yourself, right, and be vulnerable, if you will, to kind of peel back the layers, and really dive into the projects and the work that's being asked of you. And you know since the pandemic, right, I think mental health, not even I think, I think it's fair to say that mental health has definitely really come to the forefront and shot through the roof for
Absolutely.
but there was a time where you and I might be similar in age. Mental health wasn't really talked about like it is now, but it
It
was more about,
absolutely was not talked about.
right.
It was taboo.
And that's where I want to go, like, talk about that taboo, part again, not just from our community, Black and Brown, but just as a society, period. I think that it was a taboo, like, oh no, like something was wrong with you, or ain't nothing wrong with me, like, talk about that taboo. Eh,
Well, that taboo comes from back in the day when our grandparents,
mm.
and not even just our grandparents, society.
Lost her. So right now there she go.
Oh,
We have no problem. There you
sorry
go.
about that.
That's all right.
So, society made it taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day in the 1800s to early 1900s, if you didn't do certain things, they felt like you were crazy or you needed to be in a mental health institution. And it stemmed from there,
Mm-hmm. So with that too, though, right? And I mean, didn't mean to cut you off, because before that, though, we had the substance abuse era, and substance abuse, like, it seems like, not to say it's taking a step back, but it's kind of falling on to the wayside, I guess, if you will. But from your perspective and what you're dealing with, like, is that still as high as ever, and are you still dealing with and seeing a lot of people that are really dealing with substance abuse?
Absolutely.
And is it I don't want to say is it the same, not to compare, but we went through a crack epidemic, but now are we looking at a new type of drug or new type of influx of drugs that are hitting people differently?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, fentanyl is hitting the streets hard.
Ooh, fentanyl.
I just saw on the news a couple of days ago that 2 or 3 students at an elementary school overdosed on some blue pills or blue
Wow.
candy, so
Wow.
to speak. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I work in the substance abuse field very heavily, so it's out there. You can get it from anywhere.
Wow.
So substance abuse is very hard, and it's a very traumatic thing for the client and their families to go through. Yeah.
So speaking of the school, because I want to say it was this morning or this past week, they're trying to pass some type of drug now, or pass some type of law, I think here in Virginia, where students can walk with Narcan.
Absolutely.
Like, what is the, again, me again being like, what is the thought process behind that? Because for me, that's like a hard no. Like I don't agree with it. But from a professional standpoint, like, could you talk about that? Like, where's that coming from? Where's that emanating from?
Well, I to be honest with you, I agree with it. And I say that only because of the simple fact that I'd rather have Narcan in the schools than not have it in the schools.
Okay.
If you don't have it in the schools, nobody can help the person that's overdosing.
Mm.
You know, if it's a 13-year-old that comes in and they're overdosing and I don't have the Narcan, then they're gonna potentially die. I'd rather have the Narcan in the school so we can save a life. So it's a life saving type of technique.
Okay. And I get that. And that's why, because like to me, I don't know. Because I don't want to say I was a mischievous kid. I was a busy kid.
Right,
And to me, I guess I'm opposed to, because to me I think that gives some kids, because some kids are, they're boundary pushers,
right,
and I that to me gives, it's like you're giving them a green light to go ahead and try and experiment with drugs that maybe in any other situation
right.
they may not have. But now, oh, we got Narcan, and I think I heard them saying that they can actually either walk with it or have it at designated areas in school. And I'm just like, man, we already dealing with the gun situation.
Yeah, yeah. That's a whole other situation. Yeah.
So and speaking of the gun situation, even with that, like, you know, if I were to come to you, let's just say as
A parent.
a parent, right, and I'm talking about guns, like how would you be able to help a parent maybe have a conversation, with their child, whether it be, dealing with guns, dealing with the drug situation. I've noticed changes in their attitude or their mentality towards these type of things. Like what would that conversation look like? What kind of tools could you give a parent to deal with their kids in that situation?
I would say you have to be straight up with children.
Mm,
They know what's going on. They know what's happening. They're not stupid. And I'm not saying that a parent would say that a child was stupid, but that's just like suicide.
mm,
I can't beat around the bush to see if somebody's suicidal. I have to directly be direct with them. I have to ask, are you suicidal?
yeah.
And same thing with guns. Do you feel like you need to bring a gun to school?
Mm,
Do you feel like is somebody in your class or in your school messing with you like that? And as a parent, you have to take that serious. You
mm,
know.
yeah. Well, I want to get into your business, and I mean literally your business, not your business, but Progressive Measures Today.
Hmm.
And if you could, you know, talk about, you know, when you started, how you got started, and some of the services that you can provide to members of the community.
Okay, so I technically started a while ago, uh, back in 2017, 18-ish.
Okay.
But I didn't know what I was doing. You never know what you're doing until you actually start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of slow rolling at that point. So I always known I've wanted to be a business owner, and I've always wanted to help people. So this last year I got licensed. I got my full independent license as a licensed professional counselor. Thank you. And I decided, hey, if God's blessed me with this, let me go ahead and do what I need to do for Him to bless me with this business.
Mm-hmm.
So slowly and surely, I've been, getting clients and, putting my private practice out there, and also getting paneled with insurance companies, and just trying to make it official and do what I need to do. So officially, my business started in 2017. It's just now getting up to par with things. So I would say this year I got started my client search and all that stuff, and I'm actually taking on substance abuse as well with groups, and it's a bunch of stuff going on in the company. So
Well, I love to hear that, and
yeah.
it's a beautiful thing, and for me, like, it's doing this and being able to have someone such as yourself here in our own backyard, here in the DMV, providing such excellent services and really putting in that work. And I think that's the part, one of the things I like to talk about here on the show. The part that a lot of people see is like a lot of times people see this and
Right.
they hear what you're talking about. But what if you could like talk about some of maybe the hurdles or trials and tribulations that you had to go through just to get to this point?
Okay. So one thing that I had to go through was getting out of my own way.
Mm,
So I have been able to be licensed since about 2015,
okay.
2016. I only got my license in 2022. The reason for that is fear. I had to take a licensing test. I had to get supervision hours. I had to ask people for favors and just ask questions to people. I had to get a mentor. It was just stressful doing that. Fear. I'm not good enough. Did I really do what I needed to do? Should I submit my application for the process to even start? That's one thing.
Right.
Getting the right people in your corner, meaning supportive people who are going to say, hey, look, this is what you've always wanted to do. Why would you let this stop you? Don't let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Also, getting the experience. So it's a lot of people out there that, I don't know why, but they kind of want to hog the field to themselves, which is it's interesting, but it happens. It
Okay.
happens. But they just don't want to do it, or they'll charge you astronomical rates for what you need to get done, like
Wow.
$150 an hour or $200 an hour to get supervision. Completely
Wow.
ridiculous, because it's always been somebody's helping someone else to get to where you need to be.
Mm,
This
mm.
this field is a caring field, and you're not in this field for the money. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. You can make money in counseling, but you can't join this field to make money, because that's not going
Wow.
to happen. It's not going
So,
to happen.
okay, it's not gonna happen overnight, but you can
It
become.
can be very lucrative.
It can be, long term. It sounds like it's very giving though.
Absolutely.
It's a very giving type of thing. And yeah, even here, thank you, Ma. Yeah, it's a wow factor going through all of that in the sense of the dedication and the determination that you have to put in.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to that point because I have to ask, like I said, being a therapist and being a counselor, I know you have to have a solid counselor for yourself. And like how does that work for you? Like, sometimes when you hit a wall, like how does that work for you?
Well, to be honest with you, completely transparent, I had to end up finding me a counselor on my own.
Wow.
I have my insurance. I have health insurance. So I went through my health insurance and I went down the list. And as I told you before, how people should look for counselors, I did that exact same thing. I called around because I'm a professional in the field already. It's very interesting to find a counselor. So my counselor is not in my area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm going to run into her at the grocery store or whatever, but she's in an area that I'm familiar with.
Right.
But I just vetted her. I vetted her just like I vet like someone would vet a mate,
Mm.
a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I vetted her and asked her questions, and had to have a little trial period. And I feel like she's the right person for me. So anytime I feel like I'm not at my best, I can't give my clients my best. So I have to go to counseling just as well.
Mm.
So absolutely, and things come up in counseling for counselors as well. Like, let's say, for instance, if someone had a traumatic childhood, if I had that a portion or similar childhood, that would bring up issues for me. So I have to go to therapy and get those issues resolved or deal with those issues, because if I don't, it's going to mess my client up. So if I mess my client up, I'm not doing my job. So I
Wow.
want to do my job. My job in my head, my job is to help whoever comes to me for help. So if I'm not right, I have to get right for my client. And well, my client and me, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. It's really it's trouble sometimes. Like I just sit here and I just think about things. I'm not an overly emotional person. I'm not, but it just seems like and I don't know if it's because of social media,
Hmm.
everything now is there used to be a time like they would just cut, the graphicness and the graphics of it and the gruesomeness. But now I think probably we're becoming desensitized and it's becoming normalized, right?
Absolutely.
Um, but then there's a section or a cross section of our society that for whatever reason they still believe that mental health, substance abuse, PTSD, anxiety, depression, whatever, these are not real things.
Hmm.
How how do you have a conversation? Because I'm pretty sure you probably had conversations with portions of this group.
Absolutely.
How do you without getting frustrated, kind of broach that conversation and really help try to deliver some information, some useful information to maybe I don't want to say sway, but maybe they'll stick where maybe they walk away 2 days later, 2 months later, that a light goes off, with an individual like that.
I watch my words very carefully. I watch my words very carefully. I absolutely watch my words very carefully. I speak my mind, but in a tactful way. You
Mm,
know, mental health may not be for everyone in this moment, but
right.
everyone experiences mental health at some point in their lives. So if you're a non-believer of mental health and you think that this is malarkey and bull crap, keep living. I promise you, you'll experience it.
Mm, now that's
Absolutely.
real.
Keep living and you'll experience it.
That's real. That is so real. And I'm just curious to know because I'm that type of. I don't want to say I'm that type of person, but like sometimes, you have that one person that comes back like a dog between their tail, and they like, Chantel,
You know how many times that happened to me? And that's okay because I'm not gonna laugh in anybody's face, but I'm gonna smile at you and I'm gonna say, hey,
hmm
I knew it. I'm glad you understand, and I'm glad you knew that I knew, and I stuck by you.
mm.
We
Yeah,
got through that period in your life together.
I
It's
know
not like
that's
it's
right.
it's not like it's just you. Because once people take me on as a therapist, I'm a part of their support system at that point
Right,
until they leave. They leave me alone or not want to be in counseling anymore.
right.
I'm a part of their system. I'm a part of their tribe, and
hmm
I tell my clients all the time that I'm one of their cheerleaders.
Right.
So whatever you want to work on, that's what we're going to work on.
Mm.
And it's
Well,
not going to be easy. It's always going to be something. You may not like me all the time, but we're going to get through this together.
and I was getting ready to go to that. And Mr. Turner, thank you for joining us. Glad to have you with us this evening. You know, I could imagine that I don't want to say combative, but you've had some very intense sessions, and
Absolutely.
and to say that you're going to be someone's cheerleader. I mean that really takes a lot to be with them through thick and thin. Um,
Absolutely.
Can you maybe talk about maybe one or two maybe success stories that you've had, maybe some friendships that you've gained, maybe being someone's therapist? Like, what does it look like on the? I don't want to say the other side because a lot of times therapy is never really over, if you
Absolutely.
will. But what does it look like when you get to that better side, with the client?
So what it looks like is this. I used to work at a residential treatment facility in Virginia
Hmm
uh, a long time ago, and those kids were their behaviors were horrible. They were
hmm
wonderful kids, but their behaviors were horrible. And although I didn't feel like I was making a difference at that time, I saw someone years later on the trail the I forgot what you call it, but basically the train in back there in Virginia, and she recognized me because I forget names. I never forget a face, but I forget names all the time. And she recognized me. She was like, "Miss Chantel, that's you, huh?" And then I remember when we was at the Pines together, and you did this, and this, and this, and you told me this, and it really, I understand now, and I get it, and I appreciate it. And
That's
I
what's up.
smiled at it, and it made me feel really good.
That's what's
So
up.
even though it may not look like, oh, I may not think I'm making a difference, everything I say or everything I do when it comes to a client, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
That's what, and I think that's where the worth or the validation, if you will,
Absolutely.
really comes in from all your hard work and
Yeah.
everything that you're putting in, the days that people don't see. You've got your own personal family issues
Hmm.
and family drama, but you still show up, you still providing excellent service to those. But I do want to go even one step further, if you will,
Okay.
because suicide is real, right?
Suicide is absolutely real.
And I've never, to my knowledge, had a friend or talked to any family member that may have been dealing with suicidal thoughts and things of
Hmm.
that nature. But one, I'm just curious, have you ever had to deal with a situation or client and in that space?
Absolutely.
And if you, I mean, and again, without getting into the like, how have you been able to work through or work with a client, and I'm prayerfully, hopefully, help them get through it, because I mean, because this is real stuff that people are dealing with.
So I've worn a bunch of different hats in mental health. So I used to work as an emergency services specialist, emergency services counselor,
Mm-hmm.
and we see a lot of that. We see people in that emergency state where they're either a danger to themselves, a danger to others, or can't take care of themselves very often.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in that capacity about 5 or 6, maybe even 7 years. So my job at that point was to determine if this person needs to be uh, physically put into the hospital against their will,
Mm-hmm.
or what needs to happen with that person. And a lot of times when people are suicidal and they're actually serious, we have to put them in the hospital against their will.
Mm-hmm.
And dealing with that, they the police are called, and then the police call us, and then we deal with the situation how we need to deal with it. But it was very hard and stressful. But as long as people keep the fact that our job is to make sure that person is safe, no matter how we do that, and no matter if they like it or not, then that's kind of what we do. We have
Mm-hmm.
to put you in the hospital if you're suicidal, if that's what that if that's what you're doing. Like
Right.
some people, I remember this situation where a guy came into the hospital and the police called us, and the guy was schizophrenic,
Wow.
uh hallucinating. He thought uh something was coming out of his arms
Oh
and
wow.
actually cut himself.
Wow.
And we had to go in and evaluate him and determine if he needs to be in the hospital. Now, of course, because he was cutting himself, he needed to be in the hospital, but it wasn't even about the necessarily cutting. It's the fact that he was having a mental health episode or situation, and we needed to intervene in that moment.
Mm.
And if that means putting you in the hospital for your safety, then that's what we're going to do.
Wow. You brought up a couple of points in there that um we as society, we talk about defunding the police and
Hmm.
police activity, and you speak on it. Like, here in Virginia, we're here in Virginia.
Absolutely.
And, how does that really play out? Because from, again, as a citizen, I feel not necessarily defunding the police, but reallocating funds to increase channels or personnel such as yourself who may be a little bit better equipped
Absolutely.
to deal with situations. Uh, but like, how does that normally play out? So when you say you get the call, though, a lot of times it's really after,
The police were called.
yeah, and so like, I don't want to say like it's, people get hurt and things like,
Sometimes that happens. That's
yeah.
a reality. Yeah.
And do you think that it would be best to have someone, funds allocated to, health professionals like yourself to maybe
Absolutely.
to be on scene and doing it though? How would that play out though? Like, how do you, and again, just throwing this out there off the wall, big picture.
Absolutely. So what happens is in every city in Virginia, or every municipality, or what do you county,
Mm-hmm.
there are state funded offices called Community Services Board.
Okay.
They have an emergency services department in every community services board.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So any family member, any person off the street, anybody can call that number in that locality and call a mental health professional
Mm.
about any person that's having a mental health crisis, and then we deal with it. Now, don't get me wrong, we still possibly send the police out there, or we'll go with the police out there to see what's going on. But we definitely have a way to go around that. And some police officers are CIT trained, which is a crisis intervention team.
Okay.
So they're trained to deal with mental health issues.
Hmm.
And if they're not trained, they need to call up a mental health professional, and they have resources to do that.
I see, and that's a part that I really think that more states, municipalities really should go to reallocating those funds. uh
Absolutely.
we had an incident a couple of years back down in, I want to say it was Stafford, um
Absolutely.
where they rolled out with a tank, and I'm like, why the
What?
Stafford, right? Yeah, it was with the whole thing with 45, and we were, it was peaceful protests in March,
With the
but
tank?
people of color, right? They're going to come, and in my mind, I'm like, well, first of all, living in, we talking about Stafford County.
Right.
Why did, first of all, why do they even have a tank? What's
Right.
what's going on in Stafford that requires you to have a tank? And this is why I say, like, things like that. I heard different stories. They got a deal and this. Okay, well, if you have that much money there, then why isn't that money being reallocated to services, to human health services, and
Absolutely.
to that really could help people, not put fear into people or enrage people? Because as
Right.
a citizen, I'm enraged because that's my tax dollars in a tank.
Absolutely.
But these are the things that people, I can get on to a whole nother tangent, but but those are the type of things that, so I agree with you, and thank you for that education, because I think we need to figure out ways as a community to work with and get behind people such as yourself
Hmm.
to try to make these things, one, something that we all have knowledge of, and work to get to put on the books, if you
Absolutely.
will, so that we can have these type of service, and really get more qualified people like
Yeah.
Shantell,
Hmm.
out
Yeah.
in the community, and helping others, not only the black and brown, but our entire community, because
Absolutely.
we all need help.
Mental health has no color.
And that's the part, and that was really, I of course, being a man of color, we want to talk about those things, because we are, uh man, black men. I can't even talk about black men because black, we don't exist. But as a community, we're disparaged. The statistics, I can imagine what they look like from a health standpoint, but this is a larger problem.
But you
At
know what?
Mhm.
I have male clients that rather talk to me than anybody else.
Oh no, look, I get it. Like, and I'm gonna be real, like, men probably are more comfortable talking to women.
Well, yeah.
Just being honest, like, I'm the same way. Like, if it's another guy, dude, I want to talk to you. I'm just being like, dude, like, you can't do nothing for me. But is there something about, and I think that might go both ways, because I know, my wife and some other people, they felt a little more comfortable talking to a man. But I know they went through the same process like you were talking about. Like,
Hmm.
my wife had a checklist. It was like a whole car grocery shopping list, where mine was maybe like 5 questions, hers was like 25 questions, and that's how she vetted hers. But I want to ask, though, as we're coming to the backside of this conversation tonight, and I thank you for taking time out to really educate me and educate our listeners. For those of you in the woods, I see you. Don't be afraid. You want to drop a comment, leave a comment, ask a question, join the conversation.
Absolutely.
This is what we're here for tonight. I know uh, people are hesitant when it comes to conversations, but I think it's needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are you doing next, and what can we see next from you? What else are you thinking about expanding into as you continue to navigate, progressive measures today?
Well, I see substance abuse treatment
Mm,
groups. I know I'm a part of the VASAP program in Virginia, where, if you have to have some type of assessment, I can do those, as well as group counseling with substance abuse. I'm expanding my private practice to go to DC and Maryland as
okay,
well,
all right,
because there's a lot of people that need help out there. I'm also looking for qualified people that want to do the work in the community as well, to help with my vision. I am doing supervision for substance abuse treatment practitioners and certified substance abuse counselors. Come see me. If you want that certificate, I mean, not certificate, but that certification, come see me because it's
Mm.
very important. We need you out here. I can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. So yeah, I think that if you want to do the work, if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody. Like I said, therapy, having a therapist or finding a therapist is like finding a good pair of shoes. And you'll
Mm.
never want to get rid of that pair of shoes, but you finding that good pair of shoes is some work.
I have to ask because I heard it. So if someone is watching this, or whether they play this back, and they watch it later or on rewind, or if they
Mhm.
listen to it on the podcast, how can someone, or if someone's interested, what would be the best way for them to, become certified and get in touch with you to be able to help you in the community?
Well, you can visit me at my website, which is www.progressivemeasurestoday.com. I'm on Psychology Today. Depending on your insurance, we can cover through your insurance. I'm getting paneled with the insurances in the state of Virginia, also Maryland, DC. DC is a place that got to work through, but hey, I'm trying to do that too. You can follow me on all platforms, Twitter, uh, Instagram at Progressive Measures Today, or PM Today for Twitter as well. Just get at me. I have a
Mm.
phone number. I can 757-726-7180 is the phone number. You come on down, call me. The first step is for people to reach out. And if the one thing that I believe, well, that I had, it was a hard time for me to believe, but closed mouths don't get fed.
Mm.
Closed
Mm.
mouths don't get fed. We don't know if you need something unless you reach out. And
Mm.
and if you don't reach out, you don't get the help that you need. And
Wow.
even if you don't think you need the help, I mean, like people come to me saying, "Hey, I don't know what I need, but I need something." Okay, let's have a conversation, and then we'll figure it out as we go.
Hmm. Well, look, I couldn't have said it any better. Closed mouths, ladies and gentlemen, as Chantel said, they just don't get fed at the end of the day, point blank, period. That's just how it happens. That's just how it
Absolutely.
works. So definitely, if you're, interested in becoming it tells Mr. Turner, tell him the first step is the hardest. Like I said, undressing
Absolutely.
yourself in that mirror is the hardest thing you'll probably ever do in your life. And I'm
Hmm.
just talking of as a person who's gone through therapy. Coming from that household, like, man, ain't nothing wrong with me. I don't need no help. Y'all the
Right.
problem. Everybody else the problem. You the problem. You the problem. But really, the problem is you right there standing in the mirror. So,
Absolutely.
you know, um, you said it about as best as can be said, Chantel. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we're gonna throw all of Chantel's information, down in the bio. Make sure you reach out to her. Online, you can hit her up. I think email. We got her email. We
Absolutely.
we 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 want you to go out and support Chantel, not only through her business, but word of mouth, and really have this discussion in your homes.
Absolutely.
This is what this two mics up is really all about. Sometimes we would like to talk about things that are uncomfortable. Everything in life is not always peachy keen,
Right.
peaches and cream, and all of that stuff. There is a real side. There's a realness that we all are dealing with each and every day. Some of us may be struggling with things more than others. We have this sister that is here to serve, our entire community. So please make use of it. And if she can't, I'm pretty sure Chantel has a network that she can put you in touch with someone who could probably help.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what state you're in. It doesn't matter what gender, whatever.
Mhm,
I don't necessarily care. What I
mhm,
care about is getting the help that you need. All you got
mm.
to do is reach out.
There you
We'll
go.
have a conversation. We'll figure it out. No problem. That's all I care about. I want you to get the help that you need because I guarantee you that if you reach out to me, if I don't know it, I'm going to find somebody who does.
And there you have it. That's how we want to end today's conversation. Get the help that you need. Seriously,
Absolutely.
if you're a person in need, get the help that you need. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another great live. It's been another great conversation. Shantell, I look forward to continuing, our
Absolutely.
conversation. This is, I hope, the first of many.
First of
Uh,
many for me.
I want to say
Definitely.
that I want to pick your brain. So maybe some things that you have that maybe we can go and into a little more detail about.
Absolutely.
Because it's really, like I said, we live in a dark time, we live in a dark place, and we need to be able to shine a light and have an outlet, you
Right.
know. And
Absolutely.
someone such as yourself, I think, would be a great outlet. Yes, Mr. Turner, I agree. Awesome conversation. But we're going to continue this conversation. Like I said.
Absolutely.
So please, ladies and gentlemen, definitely reach out. And before we go, a couple of things that I like to close with. You know, be encouraging to others. Work to offer help, not judgment. Do your best to guide those in need towards therapy, and always continue to offer love and support. These are some of the basics, I believe, and it's the least that we can do, for those who are in need, that need help. And now that you have some tools in your belt now from tonight's conversation, now
Absolutely.
you have an outlet to help guide them to and continue to love and support them through whatever it is that they're dealing with in their day and in their life. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. Chantel will be in touch.
Yes. Yes.
You can continue to follow Two Mics Up online, IG, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Two Mics Up. Make sure, if you haven't already, I'm gonna say it again. This is season 5. Two Mics Up is on Mogul TV Global Network. You can watch us at the Mogul TV online. You can go ahead and get us on Amazon, your Roku device, every Monday night, 8 p.m. Brand new episodes. We man, look, this lineup this year, it's getting better and better. We bringing you more and more. I hope you enjoy. And like we always do at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out.